Hi, Greg. We're doing great. We've been watching the show and we love it. So I'm just a little bit annoyed that we have to start our own presentation because that means we have to stop watching all of the cool content that you've shown so far.
I'm sure your stuff is also reasonably cool, or at least fun to watch.
Well, we're about to find out. The Paradox team have been working from home lately, so we're super excited to show the world outside what we've been working on this spring.
Cool stuff, I'm looking forward to it. So let's start the countdown and stay tuned for Paradox Insider.
Our part in this grand celebration of games.
Absolutely, it's fantastic to be in a room with people again.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'd love to be in all the many, many rooms around the world that we're normally in with our players in Los Angeles, in Cologne, having the conversations that we love to have. But unfortunately, we can't, so we've got the next best thing. We're coming straight to your living room.
Yeah, and it also feels great that we're able to do something.
As an architect, surviving the aftermath, we'll have a special message from Hearts of Iron 4. And of course, the one game that I am 100% unbiased towards, despite the blood bonds, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Oh, shit.
Right, let's not waste any more time, Paula. Why don't you kick it off with the team behind Crusader Kings 3?
All right, it is time to get this show started. It's time to dive into the treacherous world of Crusader Kings 3 with a fresh look at live gameplay from our newest grand strategy game. Please give a warm welcome, which we'll happily accept over the internet, to game designer Alexander Ultner and community developer Rod Del Rue.
Hi, Paula. Thanks for having us.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
So, you just dropped some major news for Crusader Kings. The game will be released on September 1st, which is literally around the corner, and pre-orders are live right now. Rod, how has the reception in the community been so far?
It's been so good. People are really appreciating the dev diaries that we're putting forward. We have fans that have loved seeing the new religious system that we have, and also the lifestyle system that adds, just that little extra layer of RPG. So it's been pretty good. We're super happy.
Good. And Alex, how is the mood in the dev team right now?
Oh, it's fantastic. The team has been working really, really hard. And of course, it's both frightening and exciting to get feedback from our fans like this. We love the game, and we love all the feedback we're getting, and we're counting down the hours to September 1st.
Wonderful. Rod, tell us a little bit about what you have prepared for us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to start with one of the most interesting starting positions in CK3, which is going to be in Spain. Essentially, what we want to showcase here is the various decisions that are open to you even before you press play and start playing. It's like taking a look at the various challenges that you are facing before you start the game.
Cool. Well, let's dive in, shall we?
Sure.
All right. The year is 1066, and we are located in northern Spain. Of course, it's not Spain yet, and it won't be for another 400 years, unless we expedite the process. Northern Spain is divided into a number of Catholic kingdoms that stand against the powerful Moorish realms of the south. In northwestern Iberia, we have 3 kingdoms ruled by 3 brothers. We have Galicia, we have Castile, and us in Leon. One new feature in Crusader Kings 3 is the Issues widget at the top. And if we click it, we can see that we are in line to inherit both Galicia and Castile.
And see, this is what makes this starting position super interesting.
Kill your brothers.
We are playing as Leon, and the only thing that is standing between us and the throne of Galicia is our Castilian brother, and we need to attack him first before rushing for Galicia.
If we look at the map, we can see that Galicia is the one that is most open to Moorish attacks. Castile and Leon both have southern mountains that provide a very defensible advantage. If we compare army sizes, we can clearly see that Castile has the biggest army, while we have a middling army, and the young king of Galicia has the smallest army. None of us really have an edge over the other, but we might be able to find an ally to support us.
And in Crusader Kings, this might mean marriage, right?
Absolutely, Paula. Marriage is super key in Crusader Kings 3. If you don't have a marriage, you don't have any allies. And I think we should take a look at the various
same-sex marriage, a possibility
around us, and I think an Aragon princess.
Otherwise, I'm gonna hot pocket the shit.
Indeed, this Aragonese princess will get us their armies on our side. Next, let's take a look at our king. So all characters in CK3 have 5 different skills.
Wait, is it really?
And we can see here that King Alfonso is very good at intrigue, which means that he can plot and scheme very effectively. And if we appoint a skilled spy master to support our schemes, and we get a spouse that enhances our intrigue, we can become even better. And to top it all
Eric Colidon says, think you'll revisit Remnant?
Really
the Dark Souls with guns. It's got hardcore and survival modes now. New weapons, bosses, dungeons, multiplayer is muy bueno. Also has voice IP now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's key here to lean into intrigue. And why is that? Because like Alex was mentioning, we have evenly matched forces against Castile. So we should really lean into that intrigue and start a murder plot to get rid of the brother.
It's been so far.
So the plan is to kill the brother here. Alex, are we moving forward with this?
Indeed. We're going to try and murder our brother. As you can see, we have a 50% chance of succeeding. And if we are lucky, we can even find more agents in the court of our target that might be convinced by a slight bribe.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing with Crusader Kings, right? If you're trying to plot a murder against someone and you don't have enough power to succeed, you can bribe people, but you also have a special perk in the intrigue lifestyle, which essentially allows you to find secret and dirt on people in your court and then force them to join your plot.
Oh, so many different options, but unfortunately we're running out of time here. But Alex, how do you think that this story will play out?
Oh, there are so many unanswered questions. Will our plot against our Castilian brother succeed? Will we gain Galicia before Galicia manages to produce a legitimate heir? Will we be able to leverage the armies from Castile and Aragon to take over Galicia in time?
No!
Can we contain all of this familial treason before we have to fight external enemies? There are millions of ways for this to play out.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer, but thank you so much for taking us through a snippet of the drama that you can expect in Crusader Kings 3. Due to be released on September 1st and available for pre-order now.
Well, betrayal, assassination, treason, kind of feels like we're having a Paradox show already.
Yeah, I agree. It went down a dark path pretty fast there.
Good.
But I guess that the next game that we have lined up is not going to disappoint us either. I mean, building a crime empire in the 1920s Chicago is not something that you're going to get away with without bribing a few cops, breaking a few alliances, maybe cutting some questionable deals on the black market. What do you think?
Underhanded tactics, politics, taking over the city. These are all things that are very close to where my heart once was.
Next up is Empire of Sin.
Empire of Double Chins.
And joining me here in the studio from the Empire of Sin team are Ian O'Neill, lead combat designer, and Brenda Romero, game director for Empire of Sin, both from Romero Games. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys.
So, Brenda, tell me, what inspired you to make a game about 1920s gangsters?
You know, it's more like what couldn't have possibly inspired me. I mean, we've wanted to make this game for a long time. It's an incredibly rich space. It's 1920s Prohibition era Chicago. You have a lot of larger than life personalities like Al Capone and Frankie Donovan and Goldie Garneau that are there at the time. And you know, what's not to love? The stories, the personalities were made for a strategy game. And As with many game designers, if you really want to play something and it's not there, then you make it.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us how all of that figures into gameplay? What do we have here?
In Empire of Sin, you can play as one of 14 different bosses, and it's a great mix of factual and fictional bosses, each with their own bonuses and special abilities. And today, we're going to play as one Mr. Dean O'Banion.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about Dean. What's his background? What kind of person is he?
Well, he grew up in Chicago, actually, in an area known as
a
Little
Vietnam
Hell.
flashback
And
now.
in spite of that, or
There's a
possibly
board game
because of it, Dean
like
had strong
mafia,
ties to the church, which
gangsters
influenced
and stuff.
many of the decisions he made, but clearly not all of
Like
them.
when I was very
Dean actually
young,
owned a flower
very,
shop,
very
and from
young.
there, he ran his rackets.
Okay, very cool. Do all the bosses have their own missions?
Indeed they do.
was cool.
Dean's just about to
They're
head
like
off
cards.
to meet Father Higgins
They're
here,
cards
which will kick
with,
off
like,
his boss mission.
famous gangsters
Now, Dean's
and
used to
stuff.
walking the streets of Chicago,
They did
but we can
their
also take a
stats
look
or
at things from
something.
the world map to get a good idea of what's going on.
Not clue.
Here we see Dean having a bit of a holy
It's
sit-down
called
with the good Father
gangsters.
Higgins.
Oh.
Now, Father Higgins has received word that a brothel has opened up in a neighborhood nearby. And if there's one thing that Dean cannot abide, it's brothels. There are several things Dean could pick to say here, but he does what he needs for the good of the church. You're a good lad, Dean. Father Higgins offers him $500 from the coffers. Now, you can choose what you want to choose, but me, I'm always going to pick the cash. And a good blessing for the soul certainly can't hurt.
Righto, but how will Dean handle this then?
Well, in Empire of Sin, diplomacy happens one of two
Oh
ways.
my
It's either going to
God,
happen by
dude.
breath or by bullet. And either we're going to talk it out and things are going to come to some kind of arrangement, or they're going to go south real quick. So Dean knows just the man for the job, and his name is George Moran, and he's a regular at one of Dean's establishments. You can see him there at the bar.
This reminds
So
me
George
of
is tight with the church too,
Board
but his morals are
Walk
pretty
Empire.
loose. And here he's telling Dean that some
Pretty good
guy
show,
is in
yeah.
from New York who he thinks has a pretty serious attitude
Long time
problem.
since I saw that
And
show.
George wants Dean to keep an eye on him, but Dean already knows a bit more. Now, the story ends up taking some surprising turns and getting pretty deep, but for now, Dean just wants to get the good father's deed done.
Okay, but it doesn't really sound like a one-man job. Is he going to get any help?
Oh, that's what I'm thinking too. In Empire of Sin, there are 60 gangsters of varying skill levels that you can hire to join your crew. Me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hire on Maria Rodriguez and Guido Sorone. Now, I fought with these guys before, and they're fantastic. Gangsters develop loyalty to their boss the longer that they work together, and they also have an individual attribute called morale, which affects how they perform.
We know that every boss in Empire of Sin has their own combat ability. What's Dean's speciality?
Oh, yes. Dean's combat ability is a ranged attack known as blasphemy. Now, there were many accounts of Dean's brutal attacks during the Chicago newspaper wars, where O'Banion and his crew were known as sluggers, and they would beat up the competition for rival newspapers. This often resulted in really close-range gunfights. This was where I drew the inspiration for blasphemy. Using this move, Dean will fire a custom shotgun slug at the target, and when the slug hits the target, it explodes. But I really wanted to add something extra, something that would give this ability a bang. That's when I decided that Dean's boss ability would be devastating to heavily armored foes. I wanted to shred their armor completely, and not just one target, but multiple targets. And as a final piece to the puzzle, the name. An awful, brutal attack delivered by a foe that saw himself as a saint. Blasphemy was a most fitting title.
Oh, man, it is a perfect title and a great move. So here we can see that Dean is done, and he did what he needed to do, but there's a whole lot of Chicago beyond this. Dean's going to settle things here with Father Higgins, but like I said, it isn't over by a long shot, and it's going to take some surprising turns. In all of these stories, they're nothing compared to the stories that the player will tell on their way to the top of Chicago. That is mission complete.
She doesn't sound... She has a pretty good accent then for being European. I'm sure where I would place
Very
her.
cool, guys. You know, speaking of family connections, I've actually got a contingent out your way in County Galway. There's a Granny's pub not far from you guys.
Well, now that we know about it, I'd say it's not for long. Do you have any idea what their security's like? We could use another racket.
I don't know how thick the walls are or how many
Where's
cameras
she
they've
from?
got,
She's
but give it a
Scandinavian.
try and we'll see who gets who. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Good with me to Mahagits.
Slán all you folks.
And Empire of Sin will come to both PC and console in autumn of this year, 2020.
So I was standing here on the side, just wishing I could play Brenda Romero in the game.
I'm absolutely certain you can. She's definitely snuck herself in there somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully. She is the coolest. But Sean, it seems like you left out an important piece of your backstory that I haven't heard before.
At least one important piece.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But your family owns a pub in Ireland.
Yeah, definitely. So my distant family does have a pub in County Galway. But you know, I mean, every family has some skeletons in the closet. I'm sure your family is very different.
Oh, well, most likely, but I don't know. There's a Tallinn bakery.
Didn't ask.
For whatever that's worth.
Yeah, I can see some dark stories there. We've got cinnamon buns, we've got Swedes. I think we've got some bribing Swedes with cinnamon buns.
What do you think about this guy, though, who have been standing here staring us out the entire time?
You're just blinking as well.
Yeah, I know. Do you think we could bribe him with some cinnamon buns?
No, I think
this
is
more into
Look at the blink. Cinnamon bun-sized holes in his enemies. And from one game about managing organized crime to another about managing criminals, it's time for Prison Architect.
You saw it, right? It's so skilled. Frame perfect blink. This looks so much like Real World, right? Is it the same creators? It looks a lot like it. I know of this game, it's not the first time I've seen this game.
Wow, that is Island Bound. Let's check in with the team, and first, give a polite welcome, which won't disturb your neighbors, to product manager Stacey McElwam. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
God, it's a catchy trailer you have there.
Yes, right?
Everyone in the studio were just dancing along. But you have an expansion coming up, Island Bound, that will be the first expansion in Prison Architect history that will ship simultaneously on PC and console.
It will be.
Stacey, what can you tell us about this expansion?
Yeah, so Island Bound is built from the ground up in order to expand and enhance the core gameplay of Prison Architect. This is really exciting because it means that for the first time you can actually build a real island prison completely independent of the road. So you no longer need to use the road if you don't want to. It also means that for the first time you can oversee the world's most iconic island prison, Alcatraz, on the new Alcatraz map. And it means that you can reimagine your transportation and deliveries completely with new features like docks, helipads, helicopters, boats, and ferries. And of course, we have a cool new elite ops and a new air fire unit that can be called in during an emergency. Yeah, it's very cool.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of new stuff.
Gold,
let's check in with the team at Double 11. Joining us here is Gaswright, Game Design Manager, and Natalie Wicks, Product Design Manager. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So Gas, it generally sounds like there's a lot of things in this expansion.
Yeah, there is. And all of the content that's coming with Island Bound will integrate seamlessly with Prison Architect's existing mechanics. So it adds a lot more variety and depth to the game. And even if you don't want to build an island prison every single time, all the new features, the docks, helipads, helicopters, boats, ferries, new emergency services, new security features, they'll all work with your existing saves as well as new prisons that you might build on the land. And also, we have a free update that's launching on the same day with Island Bound. This update is called The Rock and introduces dynamic prisoner reputations. So players will see prisoners gaining and losing reputations dynamically while spending time in their prison based on their actions, their experiences, and where they spend their time.
Cool. And always nice with free updates. Natalie, can you tell us a little bit about how the game has evolved during this past year?
Yeah, we've been very busy over the last year. So I think as of next week, we will have launched hundreds of community improvements to the game, and that's alongside the 3 expansions we've also released since then. So there was Psych Ward Warden's Edition, cleared for transfer, and now Islandbound. All of these added new mechanics to the base game as well. So, for example, Psych Ward added insane inmates. Cleared for transfer added prison privileges and security transfers. And finally, Islandbound will let people create the prison island of their dreams.
We're so much looking forward to it. But if we look more into the future, what is next for Prison Architect? Natalie, can you tell us anything about the future
Shut your
plans?
filthy mouth, chat. I'm sending you to isolation.
No, I can tell you that we do have a lot of plans for console and PC, but I'm afraid you will have to wait till later in the year for more information.
Right, but then there will be more.
Yes, but you'll have to keep your eyes open. But I can tell you that just like Islandbound, future expansions will be released on both PC and console.
Yes, so thank you for joining us, Stacy, Gas, Natalie, and good luck with the new expansion.
Thank you so much.
Islandbound and the free update, The Rock, will be available soon, so stay tuned.
The Rock? Dun, 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 dun.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm curious. What kind of warden would you be?
Ooh, good question. I would probably build a beautiful but highly insufficient and shitty prison, to be honest. What about you, Sean?
Well, I think what I would do is I'd look for a really big island, like a continent. And then I would put all the snakes and all the spiders on the continent and probably an opera house.
I see where this is going. Okay. From one management game where everyone wants to get out to a management game where everyone wants to get in. Here is Surviving the Aftermath.
Oh, Australia. That's why I said the opera house. I get it now.
And joining me here in the studio is Stefan Eld and Lasse Liljedahl, the product manager and game director for Surviving the Aftermath. Now, guys, I notice a disturbing lack of vampires and werewolves in this game, so you're going to have to explain it to somebody who hasn't yet picked it up.
Well, Surviving the Aftermath is a post-apocalyptic survival colony builder. It's quite a mouthful to say. Genre. Anyway, the basic premise is that you need to build the perfect disaster-proof colony in a post-apocalyptic world. And in order to do so, you need to harvest and collect resources, you need to build your colony, you need to protect it from hostile environments,
like a true Swedish Viking,
rival societies, and much, much more.
Okay, so it's a survival colony builder. I mean, that is a relatively broad genre. Lasse, could you tell me how Surviving the Aftermath stands out?
Yeah,
Lasse.
The game is more than a colony builder. It adds strategic layers of gameplay by opening up the outside world beyond the colony. And the world map is actually one of the key features we have spent a lot of time creating. And in the world map, players can send teams of specialists to gather resources and intelligence about the world around their colony. And there they can encounter also other societies, which can be
really
friendly
Swedish
or not.
Name and last name.
But they will react to players' reputation and decisions throughout the game.
Accent.
So one thing that I noticed since I saw you two together last is a little change of outfit here. Everyone will remember who's been following this game how you announced it in your fantastic hazmat suits. You've updated your wardrobe, and I know you've been updating the game as well. So what's changed since we last saw you in Berlin?
So we've had 7 major content updates, and each of those updates has introduced new features, such as new trading system with other societies, vehicles that make movement in the world map much more efficient, and we also reworked the tech tree completely and expanded it quite drastically. And one of the most recent features is a combat system, which includes a colony combat where you defend your colony against raiding bandits and have other smaller encounters with wild beasts that are roaming in the nature around your colony. And maybe one more thing to mention is the criminality system, which concerns every colonist in the game.
Okay, Stefan, but what about Steam players? When will they be able to get Surviving the Aftermath?
We will be bringing Surviving the Aftermath to Steam Early Access in October. Don't forget to wishlist it. And ever since we released the game last year, we have been receiving tons of good feedback from players. And we're hoping to develop the game with the feedback that we can get from the Steam community as well. And in fact, with the feedback that we have received, we felt that we need to add more updates to the roadmap so we can put all that content into the game that we know that the players want.
It's because you wishlist surviving the aftermath.
So with all of these updates that have come along, obviously viewers are wondering what's next. Lastly, can you give us a sneak preview?
Of course. Update 8, called Tainted Earth, will be available on June 18th to all Surviving the Aftermath players. And in this update, we focus on pollution, which further deepens this aspect of the game by adding different pollution strengths and an area of effect around the pollution deposits and catastrophes that makes the pollution levels rise. And I might say that this is our biggest update yet for the game.
Fantastic. For new players like myself, where can I get started with Surviving the Aftermath?
Well, as I mentioned before, you can wishlist it on Steam now, and where it will be out in early access on October 22nd this year. And you can also get it on Epic Game Store and Xbox Game Preview already. And our plan is to have the game leave early access in early 2021.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Lasse. Thank you for joining us, Stefan.
Thank you.
That was Surviving the Aftermath.
So that was a very smooth Surviving the Aftermath stream. No catastrophes, nothing leaked, no radiation and so on like we're used to see in the usual gameplay streams.
Yeah, fair call, fair call. But let's move on from one game about surviving an apocalypse to another about surviving your own immortality.
But fuck off. We have something special for Paradox fans and strategy players everywhere. It's the 4th anniversary of Hearts of Iron 4. So we want to congratulate the team on going 4-on-4. And here's a little something from the game team and game director Don Lind.
Very cool.
Hi, my name is Dan and I'm the game director for Hearts of Iron 4. And I'm here today because this is the 4th anniversary for the game.
Jesus.
So I want to say thank you for all our supporters
in Sweden,
and all the feedback.
Everyone works at Paradox.
You guys have been doing. The community is bigger than it's
game
ever
developers.
been, and it's just amazing to be part of that. And also, I want to tell you guys that it doesn't really stop here. We've got a lot more cool Hearts of Iron stuff coming up in the future, so definitely look forward to that.
In 2016, Paradox released the ultimate grand strategy war game. Over the years, the game has expanded and tools of history has evolved.
To be fair, you want to hire the best out of the best.
Right?
Swedes are usually the best.
You will bring about the destruction of the German war machine. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall never surrender.
France takes Moscow. Not for long.
The new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.
Churchill in the front lines.
Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Spain too.
And a big congratulations to Hearts of Iron 4 on 4 years. All right, family, we've got quite the treat for you today. We recently showed you the wholesome and rhythmic way in which Kindred celebrate the holidays on our Xbox Series X showcase, but what you saw was only most of the trailer. What we have for you today is what we're calling the Prince's Cut, with a very special guest appearance, so I suggest you stick around. We're also going to find out what you get when you pre-order the Bloodlines 2 Collector's Edition.
Oh, shit. You got a Seattle map poster. Nice. Can't Google that one. What else? Book made of steel. 7 vinyl soundtracks. First Blood pre-order pack. convinced me. I'm pre-ordering this.
And joining me here in the studio today is Nikat Ali, lead producer at Paradox Interactive.
Hello, everyone.
And Rachel Leica, lead creative designer at Hardsuit Labs.
Hello.
Now, these guys have all the gruesome details, but let's start with, what is your favorite part of the collector's edition, Nikki?
That will be the Elise statue, and that's because she's my favorite character. But also, since I lived in Seattle for 6 months, it's really good to have a map I've kept as a memento.
And it's quite a faithful recreation of Seattle, as I understand it.
Exactly. Cartoonified.
Very
you
cool.
would walk around
and
with
Rachel,
a map?
what's your favorite part of the collector's edition?
I'm a big fan of that 7-inch
Y'all
vinyl
have
of the original soundtrack. It's a really stunning physical copy of the really amazing soundtrack made partially by Rick Schaefer, composer from the original game. So I'm pretty excited to throw that on my turntable.
I don't think you'll be the only one. Any Bloodlines fan have that theme stuck in their head. We've teased it enough. It's time to find out which kindred survived those Los Angeles nights and the long road to Seattle.
Didn't this look super scuffed when we saw it 1 year ago? Like the ragdolls and stuff? Like, it looks really scuffed. I think, yeah. Alright, this is something else. Joker.
Let's show them how we do.
Looks kind of like a scuff. More kind of like a Skyrim playthrough, but with vampire build. It is an RPG, is it not? Never played the first one.
Move and the back of your head's gonna be so full of phosphorus, it'll be a war crime.
That's right, everybody. Damsel is back for Bloodlines 2. We are so excited to be able to announce this, that she has returned for our game. She has spent her time in California since the first game, establishing the Anarch Free State there, and now she's on her way to the Pacific Northwest to spread that good Anarch word.
Ugh, Brujah and Anarch. I can almost feel the rebel's blood rising. Where's the Justicar when you need one? But okay, clan critique aside, one of the great things about Damsel that old fans loved was the voice actress.
Yeah, that was Courtney Taylor, and she's reprising her role as Damsel, which is super exciting.
Okay, good to hear I won't be forced to fleshcraft anybody's voice box into anybody else. But is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the viewers about Bloodlines 2? Rachel?
Well, we're just really excited for people to start playing the game and kind of find out what kind of monster you're going to become. You can make all kinds of choices in this game. You can do all kinds of things. You can glide across rooftops. You can use your powers of vampiric persuasion to get what you want out of people. You could even dance your way into certain people's hearts if that is what you would like to do. There are many ways to be a vampire in this game. Of course, the right answer is to be a Brujah, because we have cool jackets and are pros at rabble-rousing.
Okay, there you have it. The one defining feature of Brujah is their 80s fashion sense. And thanks for joining us via link, Rachel, and thanks for coming into the studio, Nikki. That was Rachel Leica and Nikat Ali from the Bloodlines 2 team. Thank you, Sean.
Seriously, that trailer really creeps me out. It gets me every time. But I can't believe that Damsel is in the game. I'm just thinking cosplay potential for all the future events.
Well, definitely. You could also be thinking, well, the Anarch Scum have revealed their position, and with the Archons moving swiftly towards Seattle, I think that's right.
I think so too. We've experienced murders and betrayals in Crusader Kings 3.
We've met a boss in Empire of Sin.
Trapped convicts on an island in Prison Architect.
Balanced the needs of our survivors with the needs of the environment in Surviving the Aftermath.
Celebrated Hearts of Iron 4.
And reconnected with a fan favorite and my old enemy in Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2.
We hope that you've enjoyed this insider look. Please stay safe, stay sane, wash your hands and play some games. That's all from Stockholm. Have a good night. Bye.
That's all from Stockholm. Alright. Is it a break now until PC game show starts?
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the Guerrilla Collective's first day, but we are far from done. Of course, we've shown you a bunch of games you can get today, but we've also partnered with Steam. You can head over there to the Guerrilla Collective section, you can wishlist the games, you can show these developers love. Beyond that, you can catch the PC Gaming Show today at 11 a.m. Pacific, and then you can catch the Future Game Show at 2 p.m. Pacific. If that wasn't enough, we're back with day 2 of the Guerrilla Collective tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific with even more reveals, trailers, and demos, and then we wrap up Monday starting at 9 a.m. Pacific with extended gameplay sessions with the developers. You won't want to miss any of it, I swear. But until next time, know, it's been our pleasure to serve you. The Guerrilla Collective thanks its gold sponsor, ID at Xbox.
No.
As well as all of these supporting sponsors.